Good morning and Happy New Year. Welcome to the Community Church of Chapel Hill Unitarian Universalist. I am Alexa Adamo Valverde, a member of the Worship Associates ministry of our church. Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you arrived at this beloved place, you are welcome here. I want to especially welcome our guests and newcomers. If you are a visitor this morning, there is a special note for you. Welcome guests and newcomers on the back of our order of service. And a few announcements. While Reverend Thom Belote is away on sabbatical, we are honored to have with us our sabbatical minister, Reverend Alison, Wilbur, Eskildsen. We continue to mask inside on Sunday mornings as a way of striving to be an inclusive community. For those attending service online, we recommend you download today's order of service to read along with us for the chalice lighting, words, and to find the lyrics to today's closing hymn, Old Lang Syne. We are not currently passing offering baskets, so if you would like to make a donation here in person, you may place your donation in the offering baskets as you exit the sanctuary. And you may also make a donation online at www.c3huu.org. After the service, we invite you to gather for fellowship in 3 different areas. The courtyard is a mask optional space for fellowship, and the area behind the Jones building, a space where masking is mandatory, includes the porch, grassy area, and playground. In addition, we invite you to fellowship with us during virtual coffee hour, at 11:30 on Zoom, hosted by Rachel Rose. Today, after the service, we will be degreeing the sanctuary, and we invite you to stay with us to take down holiday decorations immediately following the service, and we will be masked, and all are welcome. And don't forget to please turn off or silence any cell phones during our service to maintain a worshipful experience. And now Ray Dawson will tell us about today's Share the Plate for our day of service and Pledge Week.
Good morning. I'm Ray Dawson, Chair for the 2022 Day of Service. My team and I are here today to tell you that we hope you'll join us for the 3rd annual Community Church of Chapel Hill double header. That's right, it's a double header on March 5th. The first game has us out in the community living our values by helping others. We return to the church for our second game, popcorn, peanuts, hot dogs, and annual pledge packets. You can sign up to manage a project or to volunteer to be on a project at the church's website or in the Jones building after today's service. You don't want to miss it. You never know who might show up.
Please rise in body or spirit to sing the opening hymn, number 1000, Morning Has Come.
Shine upon his face. of you joined us here in person and online to celebrate the turning of a page of the calendar from 2021 to 2022. I don't know about you, but I'm glad to put 21 behind us. Hopefully we'll have a better year this year. You know, a lot of people may not pay any attention to the fact that our New Year's celebrations are actually intimately tied to the motion of Earth as it circles around the sun. It is Earth's orbit that determines the length of our year. Now, any day could have been chosen to celebrate the new year, but we in Western culture have chosen January 1st as our day. And it's not just the celebration of a new year that proves our ties to the sun and the earth. As Earth spins throughout the year, our seasons are determined, which tells us what to wear, perhaps what we can grow, where we might live, all sorts of impacts upon our lives. And of course, we know the moon has impacts on the tides and all sorts of other things. So we are intimately tied to the motions of the earth and sun, even as we pay attention to more cultural aspects of noticing this particular moment in time. On this first Sunday of the new year, I invite you to participate in a ritual symbolically acknowledging our relationship to Earth as it journeys around the sun, and to the four classical elements of nature. We'll cast a circle by our movement, mirroring our daily spin and our yearly orbit. So I invite you to please, if you are willing and able to, rise in body or in spirit and turn to face the east. And if you are online and unsure what direction is east, just look for the morning sun if you can find it in the clouds. So for us here, east is this corner. Spirit of the east and element of air, we call upon you. From you we receive the dawning light of a new day and a new opportunity to live more fully into who we wish to be. May your winds blow away anger, hate, and walls that divide us. May you make room for kindness, love, and understanding of difference. Let us turn to the south. Spirit of the south and element of fire, we call upon you. From you we receive the warmth of passion and commitment, and a new opportunity to remake ourselves from the ashes of the past. May your fire transform our doubts and fears into confidence, making us better able to face whatever the year may bring. And if we face the south, the west, Spirit of the west and element of water, we call upon you. From you we receive the beautiful dark that comes at day's end, and a new opportunity to rest weary bones and flagging spirits. May your gentle waters cleanse our bodies and souls, washing away any heaviness of heart we may hold. And last, we turn to the north. Spirit of the north and element of earth, we call upon you. From you we receive stability in an anxious, chaotic world, and a new opportunity to foster unity in recognition of our interdependence. May your rich black soil nourish seeds of change, fostering ever bolder steps for greater peace and justice. And finally, if you turn back to where we started and look within. Spirit of love and life, we call upon you. From you we receive the inspiration we need to live joyfully, even in the face of life's challenges disappointments, and sorrows. May your inner flame burn bright and true in our hearts, guiding us to bless the world with greater acts of kindness and love. Let us pause a moment in silence to connect with these spiritual and elemental energies circling around us. Blessed be. You may be seated.
You'll find the words for our chalice lighting in your order of service. If you wish to do so, please join me in reading them. We light this chalice at the start of a new year, letting go of what has been, open and hopeful for what may come, renewed, restored, ready to live life fully anew. May we move forward with intention. The first reading is from Exodus, chapter 20, verses 8 to 11. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work. But the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. You shall not do any work, you, your son or your daughter, your male or female slave, your livestock, or the alien resident of your towns. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that is in them, but rested the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and consecrated it. The second reading is an excerpt from a modern poem by Wendell Berry, titled 5, 1985, from his collection titled A Timbered Choir, The Sabbath Poems, 1979 to 1997. What is the way to the woods? How do you go there? By climbing up through the 6 days' field, kept in all the body's years, the body's sorrow, weariness, and joy. By passing through the narrow gate on the far side of that field, where the pasture grass of the body's life gives away to the high, original standing of the trees. By coming into the shadow of the grace of the straight ways ending, the shadow of the mercy of light. Why must the gate be narrow? Because you cannot pass beyond it burdened. To come into the woods, you must leave behind the 6 days world, all of its plans and hopes. You must come without weapon or tool, alone, expecting nothing, remembering nothing, into this ease of sight, the brotherhood of eye and leaf.
So, the cat's away. Are you ready to play? As you heard, Reverend Thom Belote, who identified himself as the cat last Sunday, has begun a 3-month sabbatical. And like the mice in that old saying, I expect we'll play some together, but I also hope we'll make meaning together. Coincidentally, Reverend Thom's sabbatical begins with the beginning of the new year. Traditionally, people make resolutions to kick off the new year. And usually these are vows we make to improve our lives. Did you make any? I see heads shaking. In recent years, I've resolved to eat less meat, buy less stuff, and be less judgmental. Sadly, I find breaking those vows all too easy. Probably sounds familiar. If you made a resolution, it likely involved changing your behavior or your personal situation. Of course, we can make resolutions any day of the year, but the new year prompts us to consider a fresh start in our lives. Something to change, a reason to change the status quo. Reverend Thom changed the status quo here by resolving to take a sabbatical. I know he is grateful for your generosity in allowing him this time away to pursue his interest in mysticism. Earlier, Alexa read a passage from the Hebrew Bible revealing God's command for keeping the Sabbath day, one of 10 commandments. After creating the world in 6 days, we're told God rested on the 7th day and consecrated it. To consecrate something is to make it sacred or holy. In other words, to separate it from worldly activity for non-worldly, spiritual, or religious purpose. Whether we believe the commandments were inspired by the Hebrew God or not, the Hebrew scriptures tell us that just as God had earlier freed the people from enslavement in Egypt under Pharaoh, God released them from the bondage of working 7 days a week. Additionally, God told the people to make the day holy. In contrast, the surrounding culture did not designate a particular day or time to worship their gods. Though Egyptians, Babylonians, Romans, and others may have had a day of rest from labor, it was not for religious purposes. They more likely spent the day betting on chariot races or gladiator games. The Hebrew practices put them in radical opposition to and set them apart from the prevailing cultural behavior. Imagine an entire group of people setting down their tools of commerce and productivity while everyone else carried on. It's as radical as Orthodox Jews today refusing to flip a light switch during the Sabbath because they believe it forbidden toil. Although not as radical, some might find our regular attendance here at worship service out of step with cultural norms. Certainly the increasing number of nuns, those who don't participate in any religious group, supports this. Many mainline Christian churches have experienced declines and even closings. Fortunately, Unitarian Universalist congregations have been relatively stable. For those of us who attend worship services here as a Sabbath practice, technology has made it so we can never escape politics, commerce, and the rest of the world's noise without great effort. When my kids were young, I remember deciding between going to church or going to a soccer game. Now that we record services, that choice may seem easier, but it misses the communal experience of worshiping together and at one time. How many of you struggle not to check email or Facebook every few minutes or hours? How many of you fail to take a week's vacation or perhaps fail to take it during your working life? How many of you feel there's never enough time for fun because you have so much to do? And how many of you feel spiritually or emotionally drained because you're too anxious or busy to rest or just be? I'm sure I'm not alone in behaving this way, especially during active parenting and career years. The ancient Hebrews designed the Sabbath as an antidote to hectic lives by creating an inviolate barrier between the business and busyness of the 6 days with the one day for creating holy purpose, sacred activity. Whether we identify as Jews, Christians, Unitarian Universalists, or something else, we can also benefit from a Sabbath practice. Abraham Joshua Heschel, a 20th century Jewish rabbi and theologian, called the Sabbath variously a palace, a sanctuary, and a temple in time. Though time is not a place, by thinking of it as a sanctuary, time becomes something we can enter into. We enter this physical sanctuary each Sunday in keeping with the Christian tradition from which Unitarian Universalism arose. And for this hour or so, we create time for religious purpose. We worship by lifting up what is of worth. Worth script is where the word comes from. We lift up what is of worth, be it our understanding of God, of creation, or simply a recognition of the mystery of life, as well as our collective shared values as expressed in our 7 principles. Our attendance, whether in person or online, is a spiritual practice that offers us time to be reminded of what it is we affirm. By making it a regular habit, we likely live the rest of the week in closer alignment with these beliefs and values. If we never remind ourselves of our principles, we might allow our prevailing culture to assert its ways on us, ways that assert the existence of a hierarchy of human worth, values consumerism beyond sustainability, and embraces individualism while denying interdependence. But this hour of worship can be just the beginning of a Sabbath practice. The Hebrew texts make clear worshiping God included time to celebrate life by feasting or eating well, being with friends, playing music, watching the sunset, and any other activity that makes us glad to be alive. I hope you enjoy the time you spend here on Sunday morning. You meet friends, get inspired, and do good for others. But wouldn't you enjoy a little time to celebrate life outside of church too? I doubt you want more time to work, read emails, or stress over politics and the troubles in the world. Do you make time to celebrate your life? Experience joy, or express gratitude for being alive? Take a moment right now to think about what gives your life joy and a sense of well-being. This is not escapism. We all have troubles, sorrows, and disappointments that can feel overwhelming. The world seems lost in the chaos of rampant disease, natural disasters, war, polarization, even attempted insurrection. But we can't wallow in these realities. Unless we see the beauty, kindness, courage, and triumphs too, we'll lose hope that the chaos can be overcome. Remembering that life contains good, not just evil, builds resilience and the strength we need to overcome what might overwhelm. So I have a suggestion, perhaps a challenge. Since behaviorists suggest 3 months is the minimum time needed to change a behavior, to make something a habit, during the 3 months of Reverend Thom's sabbatical, consider how some intentional Sabbath time might be possible for you. Can you set aside some time each week beyond this hour to take a Sabbath break from any activity that feels like duty or obligation or work? Maybe you begin with just a few moments to express gratitude for something. Maybe you create a feast for friends or take a walk in the woods. Try to find time to stop the noise and distractions of the world and remember that you are more than your work, your wealth, your creativity, or your productivity. Your life is a gift. Recognize it, that it includes goodness and reason to celebrate. If taking Sabbath time seems like a privilege not available to those who must work 24/7 just to make ends meet, know that the Sabbath was designed for everyone equally, no exception. Another reason it's revolutionary. And since we know some people can't afford not to work each day, it's more reason for us to advocate for living wages so that everyone can enjoy a little Sabbath time. If you're retired and feel like every day is a Sabbath, perhaps you could find joy in helping someone still working. If you're able, you might offer childcare to help parents enjoy some Sabbath time. If you think you're too busy to disconnect from worldly affairs, you may be most in need of this time. I'm reminded of the Buddhist advice to meditate 10 minutes a day, and if you're too busy, meditate for an hour. I hope you'll try to carve out a little extra spiritual celebration time, if only for Reverend Thom's sabbatical period. I intend to keep my Sabbath practice of walking outdoors, no music or podcasts filling my ears, just the sound of birds chirping and squirrels rustling the leaves. None of us are too important to be unable to disconnect from worldly affairs, or should be too busy to enter a Sabbath temple in time. I encourage you to give it a try and let me know how it goes. May it be so.
And at this time, if you have a personal joy or sorrow to share, please come forward, tell us your name, please place a stone in the bowl, and briefly share your joy or sorrow. And no announcements, please.
My name is Jenna Kaisen, and I place a stone today of concern for the families of two students at my school. One, my student, and the other one, her best friend, a seventh grader, who were struck by a car on SD's Drive on New Year's Eve. And one is in critical condition, and the other is in serious condition. So, healing thoughts to go their way and concern for their families.
This is still sorrow. I am a 4-time brain tumor survivor. I'm all good, but a dear friend who was also a brain tumor patient developed some kind of non-oncologically related infection in March, and I've been out of the hospital with different stuff related to that, and on Tuesday she passed away. And so I'm just really heartbroken over that.
Some church members sent in joys and sorrows to Reverend Alison to be shared. Marnie Goldberg asked that a stone be placed for her daughter. Sian Beatrice, who has COVID, and she was asking also for healing prayers for her grandson. Connor, who was waiting for test results but found out this morning that he's negative. But she was very scared for her daughter's well-being. In addition, Carol Rogers asked for prayers for her friend Kathy Caro, who is seriously ill. And she was diagnosed with COVID-19 on Friday. Kathy is a friend of the church and has been coming to the community church since 2018. I also place a stone for my brother and sister-in-law who have COVID right now, though they're vaccinated, but they are doing well. And finally, I place a stone for all the joys and one for all the sorrows that are in our hearts but remain unspoken today.
Please join me for a moment in the spirit of prayer. Source of life and love, gracious God, known to us by many names. We give thanks for all of the joys in our lives. May we celebrate them together. For all our sorrows, our concerns about students and their recovery from an accident, from all of the friends and family we know who have been struck by COVID, by those who we mourn, may we share those sorrows together and hold each other tenderly. As we approach the 1-year mark on the attack of our nation's capital, may we remember the courage of heroes who stopped it. May we continue to fight for fair and free elections, as our Unitarian Universalist fifth principle asks of us. We continue to be saddened by lives lost to this insurmountable pandemic. We pray the new year will see an easing of these woes and more freedom in our movements. We are daily greeted by tragedy and chaos, but we gather in opposition to these forces, claiming love as our guiding inspiration. May we pledge to show our love each and every day. Ashe, Amen, and blessed be. Please remain seated as we sing our meditation hymn. It is time to close the circle, the directions and the elements that we called at the beginning of our service. Spirits of the east, the south, the west, and north, elements of air, fire, water, and earth. We called you into our awareness to remind us of our deep bonds. We thank you for the gift of air which fills our needy lungs, for the love of fire that burns within our passionate hearts, for the water that soothes our aching bodies, and for the firmament that supports our joyful dancing. In return, may we become better stewards of these precious gifts. With gratitude, we release you from this sacred space, though not from our lives. To put a final mark upon the passing of 1 year to the start of the next, let us rise in body or in spirit to sing our closing hymn, a traditional Scottish song made popular by Robert Burns, Old Lang Syne.
Thank you to our musicians, Danny Gotham, members of the choir, and Wilbur. And a reminder to please place your donation in the offering baskets as you exit the sanctuary. For today is Share the Plate to support our day of service and Pledge Week. The words for extinguishing the chalice are in our order of service, so please join me if you wish to do so. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Guess I gotta take this off. Please join hands or cross your hands over your heart as we sing our closing song, Shalom.